Hi friends, it's Deanna Williston from Our Blooming Catholic Life, and although I have reviewed this hymnal before, I'm taking a slightly different angle this time, so go ahead and give it a watch. So the Adoremus hymnal this is the melody edition. There's also the organ edition and the harmony edition. Harmony's for choir, and obviously the organ edition is for organ, but this is for the average Joe in the pews or the couches. This is the hymnal used by EWTN, so a lot of people have it right now to follow along with their televised masses, whether you're watching it on the app or YouTube or Facebook or through your local cable channel. This is the hymnal that they use at EWTN. There's a lot of great reasons why, and you're going to need to watch the original review I have to learn about that. But this is actually the second edition. You can see it's a congregational hymnal, including the ordinary, the Mass, chants and music for sung masses, hymns for liturgical feasts and seasons, occasions, and devotions. It is produced by the Adoremus Society for the Renewal of Sacred Liturgy and published by Ignatius Press in San Francisco. And it was published with the approval of the Committee on Divine Worship in the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops, July 1st, 2011. The table of contents is pretty clear and easy to read. It's going to have all the indexes that you probably want later. But this is more just categories. Where are the categories? Then it has the great introduction to the second edition, which I highly recommend you all read. Now, you've probably noticed, if you've tried to follow along in the order for the Mass, that you have one side is going to be in English with modern Western musical notation, although there's no, often for the parts of the Mass anyway, there's no rhythm marked, right? These notes are all of equal value, and there's no key, time signature in the beginning. And this over here is the precursor to the G clef system. This is the Do clef system with Latin here. Or sometimes it'll be in Greek, right? Kyrie eleison. And this is our little friend here, the Do clef. This is the Gregorian chant system. Now I'm just going to sit here with you and mark these up quick so that we can play them. Why I'm doing this is to help you see how easy it's going to be to learn to do the parts of the Mass. So this is C, so 10, 9, 8. This is an 8. So what I'm doing is I find where Do is on either of these scales that were given on the staff, and then I'm going through and numbering them with Do being 3, and either going up or down in number depending on where the notes go. So this is 5. Okay, and I'm going to come over here. Now I did the modern Western one, and you can see this one says it's adapted from Mass 15, and it's interesting because the Latin one is adapted from Mass 8. Now the Do is in a different place on this one. So this is for the Gloria. Nope, can't use that as a 3. Sometimes the note that's given as Do, I'll mark with a 3, but sometimes I have to mark it with a 10 if it's like the highest note given. Because you'll see in a second, the instrument I'm using has a very limited scale. But having a limited scale is what makes it so easy to learn. And you're going to see, you're going to be able to learn, as we've been trying to show you over the last couple weeks, you're going to be able to learn and play and sing along with Gregorian chant. You can sing it with your family. Oh, you already know who I have sitting on my lap right now. I have my little Dulcimer, don't I? Now, this is a traditional mountain dulcimer. This is an instrument that comes to us from the Southeast United States. It's native to here. It may be based on a German instrument. They're not 100% sure where it came, but it's fairly unique. This is the teardrop shape, as you can see, but there's also an hourglass shape, and the cuttings can be almost anything. The wood's used to make it vary greatly. This is a more traditional one than most. Most modern people play it with the strings tuned D-A-D. And they basically are playing modern guitar music, ukulele music. Most modern music, they play on it, and they're playing it very similar to how they play a guitar, with their fingers doing all this stuff all the time to get going. And this is a traditional one. It only has 4 strings. Some of them would have 3. And this is the big fat chunky string here is D. And the others, that's my other drone string. Oh, sorry. These two are my drone strings. And they're going to reverberate the whole time. At almost no point in time am I going to hold my finger on the drone strings. I could. See how different they sound? But I'm not holding my fingers on them. They're drone strings. We let them go like a bagpipe or an organ. They're a drone string. And then I have two melody strings. So they're tuned to the same note. Right? And I get this lovely, lovely sound out of it. As you may have noticed, it's numbered. Remember I just said I was numbering the songs in there, the notes on the songs. And so this is what makes it so easy. Now you can see blaringly obvious is something here that if you know anything about traditional mountain dulcimers, this little guy here, the 6.5 fret, is not traditional. But it's the only non-traditional fret that I have on this particular dulcimer. It's the only dulcimer I have at the time I'm making this video. And it'll come into play as we get into the hymnal. So let's go in. We just had our Gloria I just marked out in the book. And all I did was write the numbers above the note on the staff. So let's see if I can play it. The tricky thing is with a hymnal is where to put it when you're playing with a dulcimer on your lap, right? Or I need a binder clip or something to hold the book open. There we go. Okay, now I'm playing with the non-traditional bread clip. I have lots of these around the house. I've been collecting them for a while. These are great because they have a little bit of flexibility, but not a lot. I like them. Traditionally, it would be a turkey feather, and you'd get down to the quill, and it'd be nice. And I do like that. I like this springiness of like a stick. I just haven't found or gotten a hold of a turkey feather. If you have a turkey feather, feel free to let me know. This is an oak dowel that I've sanded down into a size that I like to hold on this side. And this is called a drone. This is what's going to move up and down the frets. And this is what's going to be plucking. So let's try our Gloria in Excelsis Deo from the Mass, number 8. Ah, this is not how I would normally sit. Okay, that was Gloria in Excelsis Deo, the last two notes being just a smidge longer than the others. Now, over Glory to God in the Highest in the modern Western form doesn't have any meter or rhythm marked, and it is adapted from Mass 15. Look, we just learned those parts for the Mass, and it took us a couple seconds. You can learn to play them that quickly, and they're going to help you learn the sung parts of the Mass, especially if your parish has put out some kind of bulletin or worship aid for you, or you could ask them if they're singing the parts, can you get a copy of that music to learn to play at home? And that's going to really help you learn different Mass parts and prayers to be able to sing along, especially when you're in adoration or you're praying at home or during the liturgy, the hours. It's so much fun to be able to do that. It just takes your, they say that that famous quote that singing is praying twice. Imagine that you can do this at home. And it's so simple, friends. It's so simple. Let me find a hymn that I've marked out now. You are going to laugh, and you're going to see one of the problems here right away. Veni Sancte Spiritus. It is a Pentecost sign, right? Come Holy Spirit. And you can see, when I first got this hymnal, I could not figure out why this song was all in eighth notes. It's a clue that they've transcribed from the Do clef of Gregorian chant into the G clef of modern music. This is your hint. If it's all eighth notes, that is probably what's going on. But you can see I have something circled. This would not be a 9. What would it be? It's like an 8.5. I don't have an 8.5 on my dulcimer. So it makes this unable for me to play, or I have to change what the note is. And sometimes that happens also. There's like a 1.5 as well. So often I'll just change it. The other problem is it goes below a 0. So a 0, you can see 1 is my first fret. It's not rocket science why they're numbered the way they are. Do is when I'm playing on 3. That's why. It's 3. But 0 is just me striking it with my hand over here. It's in the hand. Nothing's on it, right? O. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6.5. You can hear 6.5 is a pretty angsty note, isn't it? Let's do it again. That's 6. You hear it? So I'm going to do 6, 6.5, and 7. 7's such a relief then, isn't it? And beyond the 10, I do actually have, cover your ears if you don't like high noises, 11. They get a little hard to play. I do technically have a 14. I avoid it like the plague. If I can, I take things down an octave, but you have to make sure they only go as low as 0. If they go below 0, I just have to change it to 0 or change it to a different note and make a mark to myself that if I'm playing with somebody else, then they need to know that I've changed the note, right? But so, hey, I was able to go through. I was pretty excited the other day, and I did transcribe a whole bunch of the Latin songs. It's not marked. I did the Te Deum, which is by Thomas of Celano, and actually able to play the music that Thomas of Celano created, and that was just lovely. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm not showing you a copyrighted anything. No, so these are not copyrighted. Here's like Praise to the Lord the Almighty. There's a wideness in God's mercy. And here are the beginnings. See, I've just written them when it was an 8th note. I've tended to decide my own system. So when it's an 8th note, see how I've tied it between the 2 notes? I've done little things like that. This one I didn't bother writing the second line out because it's the same as the first. So sometimes I write, do you remember those? Do you remember the notation when you were a kid and had to analyze poetry in class? What is the pattern? Well, this one here is an A. This first line, if I make it an A, the second one is also an A. So sometimes I write over here. Now you can see this is different. This one starts in a 1 and it does not repeat again. So this would be like an A, A, B, C pattern. Yeah. I was supposed to be looking at the one over there, though. Whoops. But this one I think is also the same. That's really funny. But this one is A, A. They're the same. 3, 4. Yep. A, B, C. It's pretty popular for the lines to be A, B, C. Not all of them. The Te Deum is kind of all over the place in Gregorian chant. In the English version with the G clef, it's not very much like that. So I've gone through here and marked the book up a lot. See if any of these are copyrighted. See if it's copyrighted. You just put your hand over it. We don't talk about that one. There's this one, and I've made notes. It's very pretty, and I had to modify it some because the notes went too low. And I wanted to not just make them all zeros in a row. That'd be pretty boring, so I did slightly modify it. So I've made those notes in here. It makes it a great hymnal. Like I say, it's just, you're able to learn so much and do so much that you never thought you would. Now, it's a little hard, as you saw, to play from the hymnal. Some people do it. They get a stand. It's a modified music stand. It's nothing like you've ever seen. It's hard to explain. It's like a folding table with canvas. It's a sling. It's like a sling. Some have a little edge in them that you could put an iPad if all your music's on your iPad. But because I love having horrible posture, I've written my songs out on index cards where I've been able to color code them and then put them alphabetically in this little box. So Marian hymns are blue. Yellow or gold tend to be to God the Father or an Easter hymn. Green ones tend to be Christmas. So what I do, and this is so tacky, but I do it to help me learn them. See, you can set the index card right there. And then, you're looking down, but, and so what I do is I write the name of the hymn. If it's from that hymnal, I tend to write it in the corner. And then I love writing in red or pink. It really catches your eye. That's the educational person in me. You can see I've tied some of the notes interesting, right? To help me along. And I know this hymn already. That's why I'm able to write it here and not worry about knowing how to read music. So I've written out the lyrics with the numbers above them. So then I should be able to play this. Again, it's a little sketchy how it is sitting on my lap. This is not the right way to sit it on your lap. Let's see if I can get a little better. So, see, I mean, you were probably singing along. You couldn't help it. It really just amps up your worship and praise of the Lord. You can pray it anytime, day or night. It's a sweet sounding instrument. I have played other stringed and wind instruments in the house and driven the guys crazy. And they really like the sound of this. It's easy to learn. It's easy to play. You're going to be able to learn Gregorian chant, and this is a really great resource. So just remember, though, you do need to look for copyright information. It's all going to be at the bottom of the song. I'm going to show you this one. I'm just going to put my hand on it because there's a reason why I want to show it to you this way. Let me just check the first Noel. Yeah, so I'm going to show you the notes. So here is like, right, the season, the number of the hymn, the title. Here I have it all romanized out. Romanized out. I'm talking Korean translation now. Transcribed into Dulcimer. And look at the bottom. It's going to give you the name of the tune, and this is the basic meter and rhythm of it. It says with refrain or without the refrain. That's including the refrain. Okay, so the text is was by London Carroll. And that little C, though, just means circa 1770. And it has an alternate. There's something in it alternate. There's something changed in here. I don't know what it was. But the text was by London Carroll. Oh, maybe that was the original theme of it, was London Carroll. But it was done circa. That little C is for circa. The melody says it's from the Little Book of Chants, circa 1815. Sometimes it'll tell you the tune here as well as here. But this is telling you where they got the melody was the Little Book of Chants, circa 1850. The harmonization says it is by Winfred Charles Douglas, 1867 and 1944. So those are the years that he was alive. And then it tells you copyright. See, this little C is inside a circle. This means we can't share it. Now, the thing is, that's the harmonization. I don't have the harmonization edition. This is just the melody edition. So this one does not impact me at all, but it tells you who's currently holding that copyright. It is Church Publishing Inc. So this is where you're going to look. It's the C within a circle, and look what it is, because sometimes it is just the translation. Sometimes it's just one verse. Sometimes it's just the harmonization. Sometimes it's a melody, but not the words. So you do need to stop and look for that. Now you're going to notice some things like, let's see here. Oh my goodness, friends. Look at this one. This one has so many various copyrights. What song is this? Lo, how a rose e'er blooming. That is a lot of copyright stuff. This is a lot of people doing different verses, and that it is copyrighted. So we can't use it. But here is the name of the tune. Est ist ein Rose. Something, right? And then there's the metrical rhythm of the poetry of the text. But this one over here is what child is this? And it tells you the text, right? The melody, traditional English melody, right? It tells you a little bit about it. But look over here. It says that it's green sleeves. What you're going to find is there are other hymns that list green sleeves as the melody that's too. So sometimes the melody has a name. It's going to be there in bolds. This one over here is Divinum Mysterium, Winchester Old. So sometimes you need to look for that name. Parce Domine, Southwell, St. Flavian. That's funny, the St. Flavians are 2 in a row for Lent. Lord, who throughout these 40 days, and O Cross of Christ, Immortal Tree. They're to the same tune. That's going to help you learn more hymns than you have ever imagined, because a lot of them actually have or will work with the same tune. That's why they put those numbers underneath. Sorry, this one has, "Oh, Cross of Christ, Immortal Tree" is copyrighted text, so I can't show you that. Danger, danger. But, see, it says St. Flavian. Let's see, it has 86.86. Other tunes that have 86.86 may work with these hymns. It's a fun little thing that you can start learning. Some of them are 7676, 7777. So this one has "Jesus Christ is risen today" and "At the Lamb's High Feast." They are both 77.77. Interesting. Could you do it? Sometimes it's fun and you find that you can do it, and sometimes you just can't pull it off. It's too awkward for you, and that's fine. So this hymnal has been a treasure trove, unexpected treasure trove on so many levels. It's helped me learn how to sing different parts of the Mass, how to learn Gregorian chant, how to learn to sing better hymns in English. Like, it's, and with the G clef, it is amazing. You can practice. Now, everything in this book is not in D major key signature. It's not. It is now, once I write it. If you had a dulcimer that was toned, as long as it was tuned to a major key, it would work. I'm not changing the key of mine. It's going to be always on D. So I'm always going to be singing on D. When I sing with other people, though, I do adjust. You'll get the hang of it. You'll see what I mean. But that hymnal is just such a treasure trove of beautiful, wonderful music to enrich your prayer life. You don't need to have an organ. You don't need to just be singing along to EWTN. You can do it yourself. You can do this, friends. You've learned enough over the last couple weeks, and I know you've been working on your Latin, and you're just probably so excited. So I'm just saying, friends, get yourself a dulcimer. Oh my goodness.